All right, it's time to do the Wednesday crossword, January 14, 2026. This one is by Joseph Ganji. And this is Joseph Ganji I know as a has made a couple of puzzles since I think around 2021-ish. The first one that I remember very clearly actually about Joseph Ganji was that he published a one of his puzzles was a duck themed, and there was a picture of a duck using the black squares in the middle of the grid. And while it was the rest of the theme was mostly just words that mean duck, you get like Donald in there. I think you also mean like to dodge things. I just remember that very clearly just because of the picture of the duck. So um, people like to say that crosswords are an ephemeral form of entertainment, but sometimes these puzzles really stick with you. And that's one thing that I remember about Joseph Ganji. Ooh, and then I see here that there's an additional note here. So let's see that. When the puzzle is completed, starting at the letter at square 39, spell out a famous lyric. Okay, well, it starts from level square number 39. Well, let's just see what happens here. All right. Was it even close? Is pales in comparison. Old screen, sunscreen initialism. Maybe some old chemical they used to use as maybe banned. Now, guessed off one's chest. Something with an S at the end. Big ask, an audacious thing to ask. She is Essa, I think. Performed well enough is it suited. It stood. Maybe something stood the test of time. That doesn't really to stand. Garlicky sauce. Maybe it's not Essa. I think maybe it's Ella. Aioli, because that's what I know is the garlicky sauce. Gets off one's chest. Gets off one's chest is aims, ails, airs, like you air your grievances. Okay, yeah. Old sunscreen initialism. I've seen this before. I just can't remember what it is right now. Ones who probably aren't buying it. Someone that's just like window shopping, maybe look something. I know this is Tessa Thompson. That's a me problem. I think ego. This is a siege, Battle of Vicksburg. River at Memphis. This is talking about Memphis next to Cairo in Egypt. So this is the Nile. You always get some things tripping people up with that. Andrew, Jerry's uncle on Seinfeld is Ted. Well, what is this? A cove is an inlet. So maybe I think I've a looky loos, Uncle Leo. I think so. I think so. Oh, that makes sense. Is I see. Once called was nay, so this comes before a maiden name, like formerly named as, and signs. Signs. You get ins. It's not in. Inks. Oh, to like sign your name is to ink your name. I think that's what people say. Performed well enough was something okay. Sit okay. I'm not. This has to be a past tense. So I'm gonna just look around and see what else there is. Sunday in the park with George. Part of me suspects that this is a B. I'm just thinking this is like broadcast. But I'm just not too sure right now. Fashion name that's become slang for excellent is Gucci. Beef up the arsenal. Alum is a grad. 180 is a UE. That's in a U-turn. Bit of spy gear informally. A bit of spy gear. Don't know. To defeat decisively. To clap to class. I don't think so. Mock. Ooh, you frighten me. I'm afraid. I'm so scared. Kind of shell. Binary 110 in decimal value is 2 because it's base 2, so the first digit just represents two's digit, second digit is the one's digit. Makes less noisy in a way. O something S. Wait, what? And then what is this? Kind of shell is a taco shell. Tuna variety is ahi tuna. Makes less noisy is to oil to lubricate it so it doesn't make any sound. And something here doesn't look right. Is it AE? I mean, maybe you spelled UE like this. Beef up the arsenal is to rev up. And then what is this? Bit of spy gear. CV what? To rev? Surely it's rev up. We'll see what else there is around here. Moves over, scoots over. Mock, ooh, you frighten me. P, po, pa, pe. I don't know. Where Caitlin Clark played Division 1 basketball, Iowa, I think. And then this word, Shaw. I don't know how it's pronounced, but I've seen it come up. Defeats decisively. Well, this is, rearm. To beef up the arsenal. To give them more arms, I guess. Let's see, what is this? Musical, Broadway musical. Okay. And what is this? Alioli C wasn't even close. Paled. Did okay. Man, I should have read that a bit closer. It was not. Yeah. Ref work with over 600,000 words is Oxford English Dictionary. Let's see. The Hateful Seven. The Hateful Eight were Magnificent Seven. Is a Western. I know only the Magnificent Seven. I don't know what the Hateful Eight is, but it is a nice parallelism in the clue, so I like that. This is I'm scared. This is what I thought before. They may be fixed or variable rates. Fixed rate, variable rate. Variable rate seems right. Squirrel away, I think, is stash, and I think all of these are pretty common letters. Let's check the S here. Yes, it is a plural here. Sporty Pontiacs of the 1960s. I only know this because it's been used so much. GTOs. Miracle Grow. That's some kind of grass, like sort of home garden kind of product. Ill considered is a rash decision, for instance. Change across the Atlantic. Oh, euros, like currency. Okay. Ump's call is out. In baseball, maybe. Historic stretch is an era. And this is a toe tapper. Toe tappers. Let's see what the theme is. Maybe it's somewhere around here. I believe there would be a theme. Oh, the theme, we would have to read this out. And I think it wraps around like this on the bottom. But we'll figure out what these letters are. Sent away for. Something with an ED. And we want more is encore. That's what you would say. Warm-up lap leader is a pace car, maybe. I think this is for like F1, NASCAR driving. Pace car for the first lap. Or at least to warm up. I don't know. Milker's handful. They might grab a teat of a cow. They communicate through bill clattering. Bill clattering. Storks? Some kind of bird. Sent away for was ordered to do something. Salad green is an endive. Endive? I don't know, but this looks like the Knicks. Madison Square Garden team. Yes. Very well. Okay. All right. Okay. So be it. Okay. I don't know. Lies atop should be rests on. It's one of those two-word phrases. Unappealing gruel. Slop. 51 across server. You have like a trough that would serve, or a ladle that would serve you just like unappealing slop, like, I don't know, like school cafeteria, prison vibes. Burlesque accessory is a boa. Most online service agents now are bots. Probably true. Poet who wrote only through time is conquered. It sounds like something. Well, it also works very well with Eliot. The only other kind of poets that I know are Auden and Ogden Nash that are quite common for crosswords. But T.S. Eliot, I think. Cancel is probably Nix. So let's see what this is. Linking point is a nexus. Yeah, the X really does help there. Trifling amount. This is kind of old slang, I imagine, but this is also like a term for an old French coin before they switched to euros. So trifling amount is a sou, and Pulitzer-winning composer of Sondheim. I don't know Sondheim's first name, but we'll just go back to it. Might come to me later. Grub, for example, is a larva, and is blessed with is has. I suppose you can say is blessed with. It's sort of. I mean, I guess there aren't too many ways you can clue has, so it's fair. German industrial city is Essen. And Queen's Domain is the hive, thinking about a bee, and Oman, the sultanate. Yes. So fa for the noodle dish. Like a dress that falls short. Mini. Like a dress that falls short, sort of like thigh length. Okay and okay. I don't know. Let's see what else there is. Trident shaped letters. Psi. It's the Greek letter. PSIs. Maybe you can include it as like units or something of pressure. Pathetic is sad. Yeah. Sicilian landmark is Mount Etna. It's one of those, along with Mount Ossa, which is in Greece. Just one of those sort of European volcanoes, mountain things that I guess I guess Etna does have some historical significance. I think that's where one of the I think that's where one of the is that where Moses climbed up? I actually can't remember. I know that Mount Ossa is somewhat relevant in Greek mythology, just because it's sort of the second mountain that is like the second most well known mountain after Mount Olympus, and Etna does seem to have some kind of. Oh no, no sorry, I got that wrong. So the mountain that Moses climbed up was Mount Ararat, which is also a very common mountain that you would see in crosswords. Etna, I think, is just a volcano. I'm not really sure what historical significance there is, but certainly for crosswords, it is very significant. So to look after is to tend. You might tend a garden, you might tend to a child. Like a dress that falls short is petite. Yeah, it falls short. I only knew of mini as the term, but this probably works. Modern suffix with situationship. Stephen Sondheim, Pulitzer-winning composer, and Wired is very well okay. Uh, okay, okay. Oh, it's just okay spelled out then. Okay. Then Wired I think is hyper. So this is Key and Peele. Yes. Let me also see what this theme is. Let's see. Look, I made a hat. Look, I made a hat. Um, I'm not too much of a musical fan. Let's see. When the puzzle is completed, connect the circled letters to create an apt image. Spells out a famous lyric from Stephen Sondheim. Um, is it that these two things are sort of related to Stephen Sondheim? I know that Broadway musical surely is related, and Stephen Sondheim is the clue. Is the theme. What this puzzle is centered around, and I suppose "Look, I Made a Hat" is a song, maybe a famous song that unfortunately I'm not too familiar with, but yes, I mean it does certainly make a hat, so that's good. Let's see if there's anything else that is probably of note in this puzzle. Um, well, I would say I think the fill of this was quite clean. There are not too many, I would say, obscure words. Certainly, some very common words that you would see in puzzles already. So, for instance, I don't think a new time solver might get Etna or Essen, but certainly, if you've been solving for a bit more time, you would have seen this used in other cases. So, for someone that is trying to attempt Wednesdays, I would say that it's a fair clue. It's a fair word to expect to know at that level. Um, I would say I didn't know Paba. It sounded somewhat familiar. I'm just wondering, is there maybe a different word? I would maybe if this were me, I might have changed this to a B. Because baba is I think it's a kind of food, and then bailed is also a somewhat uh familiar sounding word, used when you're like baling hay or something, right? So you would have bailed and crossing baba, but really that's just a small concern. I think like all these optimizations are mostly down to personal preference. For me, I tend to be not so much a fan of just trivia in general. I'm not too much of a trivia guy. I don't know too much about like modern pop culture references. Um, so usually when there's a name, I tend to just like look away and just try to find other parts of the puzzle that I know how to solve. Um, In this case, maybe I would have made different choices, but of course, this is already quite fair. I think these words are all very good. Um, yeah, let's see. Anything else? Maybe there were some question mark clues that I could sort of maybe talk a bit more about. Let's see. Um, Greenwich Villages. I don't think I looked at this. Stonewall Inn. Um, I'm not familiar with a Stonewall Inn. Unless this is talking about the Stonewall that was like I think it was a gay bar, but I'm thinking like the Stonewall when like Stonewall as being sort of a landmark for gay rights and that kind of thing. We're in the 1960s. I believe there was a protest there at the Stonewall Inn. I thought Greenwich Village. I didn't know Greenwich Village was like the place in New York. I think it was. I'm getting the history all mixed up. So I know a few things. Like Greenwich is also a place in England. That's where the Greenwich Mean Time is centered around. And then Stonewall is also Stonewall Jackson, who is a definitely less favorable historical figure to reference. So Stonewall Inn. I'm sure probably they are probably talking about that one gay rights landmark. Yeah. PSIs. I thought that there was another clue that I thought was talking about PSIs. I think about it was some other letter that was in this, but it's just maybe I'm just imagining things at this point. Yeah. Um, this is a solid puzzle. I unfortunately might not really know too much about Stephen Sondheim or his work to appreciate this to the full extent that this constructor might have wanted, but I think from a construction standpoint, also just like a solving perspective, I think it was a very good job. So thank you, Joseph, for his puzzle, and that's it for today.